I would say probably the first hardcore show was might have been the Dead Kennedys at the Fensgate Ballroom. Might have been that one, but Black Flag at Spit was pretty close because it's a little foggy there, but it was during that time. I don't miss the Rat. People wax poetic all the fucking time about that place. I, on the other hand, I'm all for gentrification. The place was a shithole and it got bulldozed, and there you go. Good for the neighborhood. All right, maybe it's a little soulless, but so what? Kenmore Square is nicer now. I guess maybe the channel, but you know something, I prefer playing shitty like VFW halls in the basement with no stage. That's kind of just my thing. Like the hotter, the shittier, no stage. I think those shows end up being the most fun. So I don't really necessarily would say I miss a club. Yeah, I don't really miss clubs that much. Favorite slam dancer? I mean, it's hard to say. There were divers. There was the crazy, like Dickie Barrett would just throw himself off a balcony. I don't know, Al. I mean, we all kind of did our own thing. It was like that. I missed the creepy crawl. Kind of getting down low and you scratch your head on people's belt buckles. Well, there was one time Black Flag played at the channel that I missed, and because I didn't really know anybody yet, so I saw SSD Control that afternoon, and I was gonna go to Black Flag like later, but I couldn't stay because I was like 17 years old and had to go home or some shit. Yeah, that was before I started at Emerson that next year. Okay, the Buff Hall with Minor Threat, SSD Control. I still think of that as like the just craziest fucking day ever. Ian got hit by a car. Like we were in the van and Ian got hit by a car like that smashed into Al's van, and then that night, like this black motorcycle gang from the neighborhood in Camden just showed up into the show, and they were like, well, we're here. And they ended up like kind of being a part of the show. That was absolutely just the fucking craziest. And I know there's a video of the whole show out there, but I wish I could find it. I've seen clips here and there, but just being there, and I was still kind of not quite yet off my crutches yet, so I couldn't like really get in there. But whenever I see a shot of that show, I was literally standing next to the person filming it. That was still like probably the greatest hardcore show I ever went to. I don't know. Jimmy Gestapo was pretty fucking funny. He's just got that sense of humor. Just doesn't take anything serious. And Vinny as well. Vinny's just a fucking character. Funny. I mean, Boston people. We're pretty humorless fucks, honestly. Yeah, honestly, I think lately the UK. It's funny how like things have switched around. Like, I think America has better skinhead bands, and the UK has better hardcore bands now. Because I think there's like the Flex, Violent Reaction. I mean, they got there's just a whole bunch of like really cool hardcore bands over there right now, that kind of have a real old school, feel to them. And there's a band in Sweden too. I don't want to even say, it's like spelled like phonetically harder tighter, but I know that's not how you pronounce it. But they're a pretty cool band too. But honestly, I think most of there might be some Boston Strangler, a bunch of Boston bands that are we've got a great like young scene. Or I wouldn't even say they're young necessarily, but a lot of the newer Boston bands are really pretty cool, old school sounding. Cal from Discharge. Unfortunately, the thing is, you're limited by the way you sound. So I ended up sounding the way I sound. I don't think I particularly have a particularly good sound in my voice, but I do what I do. But yeah, Cal from Discharge, only because I think I kind of have that same vocal style that he had. Yes. Yeah. I feel bad because I think over the years their legacy has kind of dwindled, and you got a lot. You know, I'll see like a thread on Facebook about the Bad Brains, and you get one person says something negative, and then the rest of the haters will hop on and go, "Yeah, I never liked them. They're overrated." It's like, no, I you know, all right. I don't want to be like, yeah, I'm old and I got to see them, but I'm old and I got to see them. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. Yes, in '82. The Bad Brains were the greatest fucking hardcore band that ever graced the stage, and that's all there is to it. And I sometimes I feel bad for anyone who didn't get to witness it, because they were that good. And already even later on, they were great, but even after like post '85, when they were still doing good shit, they weren't the same. It just wasn't the same. No, of course it isn't. It's not gonna die. I mean, like I said, there's new bands coming along that have like playing hardcore. You know, there was a stage where everybody was sort of doing the like heavy metal. You know, everything's cyclical, I guess, and you know what comes around back. So right now, you see a lot of like old school, whatever you want to call it, coming back. It's not going to be the same. Obviously, it's not going to sound the same. But if you get that kind of feel, sure. No, hardcore's not dead. Of course it isn't.